Hello and welcome back. This is Paolo, your host, and this is another very interesting episode of Conversations in Artificial Intelligence. Today, with us, we have Anwar El-Homsi, who is an executive consultant for a high adoption in a variety of companies around the world. Not only is an executive consultant, but he is a multi-books author and the recent author of a book on artificial intelligence. So I look forward to having a very interesting conversation with him. But before we go any further, let me say this. If you're new to the channel, it is an honor and privilege to have you here. If you're coming back, thank you so much for putting your trust on us. So Anwar, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I am very good. We are here in sunny California, and I know that you're located in another sunny place. Would you like to tell us where you are?
Well, we are actually in New Jersey right now, and the temperature is extremely cold. It is a minus 8 or 11 this morning, and with the wind chill, it's about minus 24. So I'd rather be in your place there, Paula.
Okay, okay, but you have a lot of activities in Florida, isn't it?
Yes.
So
yes. No,
okay.
I am right now in New Jersey right now, so I'm speaking with you from New Jersey. I have a project here I'm doing, so that's where I am right now.
You have had a long career in corporate first, and then you become a consultant. Most recently, you've gone into the field of AI, and you're consulting for a number of executives, both in the East Coast and abroad. So if you had to highlight three things that you want to share with the world about your story, about your career, what would be those three things?
Well, the first thing I say, work hard on your passion, what you like to do, and always actually learn. So learning is the key for everything, and I kept learning. I'm still learning, and I will be learning. So this is another thing that you need to look into. And the third thing is basically, you're gonna look at your life, where you're gonna be, and prepare for that and plan for that. So this is the three things I will recommend.
That's very insightful for young people that are trying to start. But let's say, have there ever been moments in your long career where, you thought maybe you should have done things differently? Is there something like, if I was 24 years old coming out of college and I was facing choices and maybe I'm not too sure about what to do? I mean, have there ever been moments like that? What would you advise this young boy?
Well, it is sometimes you really cannot control your destiny sometimes. If you look into what I was in early, in my career and where I am right now, it was totally different. I started as an engineer and became a statistician, and right now I'm in AI. So it is really a series of experiences and failing and succeeding to get you where you are. So sometimes you're gonna let go and go after your passion, what you're looking, you enjoy doing, and sometimes you arrive at the moment that where you're supposed to be. We really hard sometimes to look into the future, what we could be, but enjoy the experience to get where you want to go.
So that's very insightful. So you have written a book on artificial intelligence, and I went a little bit over it, and I was pretty impressed by the depth of concepts and the variety of areas that were covered. Tell us a little bit about your book and also the motivation behind writing it.
Well, the motivation actually comes from my experience. I've been consulting with executives on machine learning and AI. And a lot of time in meeting, executives ask the questions like, can AI do this? And in reality, they can't. So what the capability of AI right now is different what people think what it is. So there's a disconnect somehow what AI can do versus what people or executive thinks AI can do. And so they have a lot of questions, and they have some fear with regard to AI because it looks like mysterious and complex, a lot of math, and so linear algebra and things like that. So they tend not to go there. The motivation and the insight that I have to write a book, I want to write a book for these people, for executives or corporation, to really understand what it is in plain English, okay, and no complication or anything, and understand what they can do to help support their company in implementation. Because as you see, AI is the future that is already here, and a lot of companies should actually march in this direction. But it has been a slow adoption of AI because of lack of understanding what AI can do and what they need to do to make it happen in corporation. So we're not talking about Google and a big corporation that they are actually AI company. We're talking about the rest of us here who wants to go there, but they need little help. So my book is for these executives to really understand what it is, how it will help them, how can they implement AI in their company, what they need to do step by step, where are the applications and all of this. This is really the key for my book, to send a message for people like executive, so they have the tool, the weapons to actually go ahead and do it in their organization. So one of the key is to support. We had a lot of people, actually, company wanna implement AI. So they usually send somebody, for example, to take courses in machine learning, at Stanford or other places, and they come back and they ask them to go ahead and do your magic. But the problem, a lot of them, they have challenges and they don't get the support they need. So with regard to many things, including data and other things. So this actually will help executive, the most important thing, what it is, what they need to do it, and what they need to support the people who are doing it.
Is there like a particular situation where you were asked some questions that made you realize that there was a disconnect between the executive and the world of AI that you like to share?
They are actually, most of what the rest of the world doing is trying to hire data scientists, and they ask them to go ahead and apply AI or machine learning at their organization. But these people, the data scientists, struggle actually to apply what they learn because of many challenges they have in this company. First, there's a data, is not clean, is not there. There is no really nice data pipeline in the company there. And so they find themselves actually, people not supporting them. They don't understand their need. And they end up actually, instead of doing data analysis and all of this, they do mostly help executive with reports, with, for example, a presentation and some nice graphics and all of this. This is really not what they're supposed to do. And because of that, they struggle and they change jobs and they keep on doing this. So this is really a common issue. My recommendation is to implement AI in general as a system, okay, for the entire organization, to create an infrastructure to support the initiative. So this is what I'm suggesting and recommending. As a system, basically, the company want to become an AI company. So what do they need to implement AI, and what infrastructure they need to do to make it successful in this case?
I can see what you say. I can also see, because I've been in similar situation, that if an executive or let's say a manager that has budget power within an organization has not been exposed to this and has not been educated in the past, it's also very difficult to get into the level of granularity that is requested to do a work like that, because they simply do not have the time. I wonder if we introduce another dimension, the dimension of the type of companies, if you could say, like, where have you seen that this process of implementing system level solution is more prone to be adopted or has more chances to be successful?
The environment is basically to implement infrastructure support, to support the initiative. For example, I just want to give you an example. Most companies, they educate people on machine learning, but they fail to educate their leaders on what they need to do to support these people. The infrastructure will be, or the system will be, you educate their executive and then you educate management, and then you educate practitioner in AI in general. And each one has different level of understanding. Executive, we're not going to look into linear algebra or statistics and all of that, but basically, we're going to deal about understanding the terminology, looking into the application of AI, where can we put it, and what are the tools needed in place before you do anything. Looking into, for example, machine learning stack, infrastructure stack. You need to have somebody on board who understand, what they need to do, what vendor they need to talk to, or are they gonna use, for example, the cloud, like Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, whatever it is. So they need somebody on executive management level to really understand the difference of what's best for the company in this case. Make sense?
Oh, definitely. You see, talking about kind of a funnel of knowledge within the organization,
yes.
starts from the executives and then goes all the way down to various level of application.
Yes.
So I imagine, though, that before you even start the project, you have to have in mind some kind of ROI. It's certainly true that today AI is a pretty hyped topic, so a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely.
But there has to be kind of a vision for a ROI. How do managers develop that vision for ROI in their industries and in their company?
Well, this is really get us into a strategy, AI strategy. So a lot of people ask me, what the AI strategy should be. What really AI should really do for the company is help them solve their business problem. So company, they shouldn't really adopt AI, because it is these things right now to do, but adopt AI to help them solve actually serious business issue. So before you do AI strategy to help the company with certain things, they need to understand what the overall company strategy, what we're trying to do, and use AI as a tools to help them get there. So this is really a lot of companies, they're not looking into that, but I recommend that AI be subset of the overall company strategy in this case, and use AI to help them meet their objective as a whole.
See, even if sometimes you have a corporate strategy or a company strategy and you identify where to apply AI and so on, in the world of AI, if you like, there are, I would say, two different type of possibilities. One is you have established techniques that could be the world of data mining, where you get insights and so on. And then there is the world of automation, where you're trying to automate completely a process and make the machine to being intelligent enough to make decision on its own without not a human in the loop. Now, when you go into this world, the world of automation, there is a little bit of experimentation in this world. Like the solution, usually they're not guaranteed 100%. There is a process of, that you can build them, but they don't turn out the way that you want. You have to rechange them. It's a interactive process. Usually, if the team is good and if the challenge is not too high, something good comes out. But it's more of, it's not a complete engineering endeavor where everything can be forecast in advance. There is a level of indetermination. So how can company and executives that are used to a lot of determination, maybe they come from very structured industries, how can they become accustomed to this element of uncertainty?
This really comes into how much investment we want to do in AI. So company, they can actually sit and watch and learn from other companies doing it and learn from their successes and adopt proven AI technology, and they don't have to really waste their time and guarantee success in this case. Other company, if they want to be visionary, they can actually look into a new area of AI, that nobody has done before, and will be visionary in this case, But, you know, they need to do a lot of experimentation. There's a, you know, success and failure. So the percentage of success or probability of success is less in this case than the other one. So it just depends on what their vision is as a company, what they're trying to do and what they want to go. You know, AI is very, very costly initiative right now. And so it depends on the company. A certain company may not have the budget to do a lot of things. So this way they can actually use a proven technology and assure success in this case.
In your consulting practice, where have you seen the most success in implementation?
The culture actually is the most important thing. And so data availability is the most, extremely a problem in every company. So it is really fragmented. It doesn't have ownership. People doesn't want to, share the data. But as you know, if we don't have data, we don't really have AI or machine learning in this case. If the pipeline for data is not well designed and properly thought of, they're going to have a lot of issues in this case. So this is the biggest problem I see in a lot of companies, is the data integrity and quality everywhere.
Do you think that is a cultural level problem, or it's more of a technology problem?
It is both, actually, depends, but it is more of a cultural thing, especially with big corporation, where the culture does not allow for people to cooperate and work together as a team. So it seems like each business unit working independently from the other, and they keep their data for themselves and they don't want to share it. But when you have a culture of trust and winning, and cooperation, you won't have this problem with regard to technology, because if they work together, they can overcome everything. It won't be the technology, it won't be an issue there in this case.
That's of course true of a very large organization. I like to pinpoint on these two concepts that you explained in the last few minutes. One is the concept of the budget you have can allow you to create a portfolio basically of initiatives.
Yes.
And so in the portfolio you can account for failure as well, or you can account for delays, because some project will return on ROI quicker and some other will have a long delivery time. And then there is the concept of the necessity of having the right data infrastructure. So what other factors do you think are crucial for product innovation? Like suppose you have a traditional company that is working on a traditional industry and they want to create something new. What other factor do you think could be a determinant of success in their overall strategy or tactical moves?
With any innovation and a new product, really you want to have innovative solution for people. So you need to really solve some problem out there in an innovative way, and so solve some people problem. One of the tools that I've been using in innovation is design thinking. And the most important thing about design thinking is basically the designing for people, actually. So empathy is the biggest part of the whole thing. When you look at people struggling in their daily life in anything, so you can come up with some innovative solution to make it easier for them, to make their life much easier in this case. To me, is looking at people issue and trying to come with innovative solution. One of the tools that we've been using in our company is ethnographic study. Basically, when you go and observe people, and look into how they struggle on a daily basis, and maybe you'll have some insight, with innovative solution for them. And the key right now, it's really nice. How can you use AI to help people, on daily basis and their daily, thing. So to make their life more efficient in this case.
You were saying in some of our conversations that today not all the AI, if you like, technology solutions that are coming out in the market are basically designed for being, if you like, human-centric, but there is kind of a disconnect.
And that is correct. the early adopter right now for AI are techie, basically. They love technology. They look at the newest and the greatest in this case to help them, with their life. But there's a lot of disconnect. These are really different people. So when we need to design for extreme users, basically for every day, for the average people too. So you need people, average people, be able to use AI also on a daily basis and not be intimidated by it. In this case, some people, they might have, for example, a smartphone. It might have some AI capability, but they're not aware of it. They never used it, and they don't know what it does for them, for example. So this is an issue, and so we're not designing for the average people, or extreme user in this case. And also still one of the major issue with right now AI technology is, for example, security and privacy. For example, people, they want a privacy, they want a lot of things like that. So a lot of people tend not to use it right now because they're afraid about, for example, their data. How is this being collected, and what companies doing with it, for example. So they have concern there. So there are a lot of issues out there still that preventing people from adopting to AI technology in this case.
If I have understood correctly and summarized this, there are two elements here. The element number one is that the design of products is not really done for the average common man, or at least has not reached that point. So lots of the features remains unused. And
Yes.
I'd like to dig into that. And the second element is that because of all the data privacy issues, there is a barrier in adoption of certain services because people are just afraid of this. I'd like to dig for a moment about the situation of the design is not done right, particularly about the smartphone. Actually, the smartphone is one of the places where there is more AI possible and imaginable.
Yes.
And AI is at various levels. It's from the hardware to the basic functionalities.
Yes.
Very complex applications. One is coming to my mind is the case of Google Pixel, which is a search is done with pictures. And there are other kinds.
Yeah.
But there are lots of other hubs. Where do you think is the disconnect between what we have today and the design? Is it in the discoverability? Is it in the interface? It's in the fact that these applications do not educate the user? Where is the disconnect in your opinion?
Well, you mentioned a little of everything, actually. The users are important. I mean, these are the people going to use your product or services in this case. So you need to design for them. This is really the short answer. Capability for AI, it is growing and changing. And you never know who's going to come up with, some breakthrough with AI and change the whole thing. So I don't see really the capability as an issue. As a matter of fact, I see we're going to automate even AI in the future. Like right now, we have a lot of data scientists actually envisioning that we're going to automate their work too in the future. So people don't need to really understand the algorithm, how do you develop it, how you train algorithm, how to all of that, the whole entire process, or how to select the right algorithm anyway to do certain thing will be actually chosen for you already. And done for you. The only thing is you have to do the interpretation of what you see in this case.
And instead, if we look at the data privacy and the data privacy issue, usually this is a issue that comes up with the large internet companies, particularly the two most prominent, Facebook and Google. Do you think that there is a tendency, both in the consumers and maybe, in companies, to somehow extend that diffidence that's been generated by these large giants that are trying to get all the data from you, they know everything from you? Do you think that extends to any other thing that is out there?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, one time I was working for a healthcare company, okay? and they don't have the data actually to develop and learn, and their algorithm and make it learn. One of the things we found out that our government here in the U.S., they have a lot of, say, health data out there, and they could share it with a lot of startups, a lot of smaller company to use it in this case. So there are some data. They can buy it. They can, that is somewhere there, they can use. And I can see also big company, actually, they have pre-trained algorithm already so out there. But as you see, one of the challenge right now with, say, deep learning, all this, they require a large amount of data. I envision in the future that we should also look into what they call small data. We don't really have to look into big data. Big data is messy, it's hard, need to be cleaned and all of this. So if there is a way, and I'm sure people are working on this, to trying to actually be able to have an algorithm learn on a smaller data set with the same accuracy that large data have in this case.
Basically, you're saying that there are a couple of effects here. There is the Google, Facebook team that makes people comfortable to give all their data, or they become suspicious. On the other end, there are government regulations, or there are other regulations in place that make innovation a little bit difficult, because for the smaller companies, they cannot have access to it. So maybe we are envisioning here kind of a rebalancing of forces, so making data a little bit more accessible for the smaller companies, regulating more the larger ones, and maybe having a little bit more scientific evolution in the technology, and having the technology more able to work at a lesser scale as far as data is concerned.
That is correct. If government, as you see right now, they're racing to actually for AI to see who's become a leader in that. Every country have a strategy for AI, and a lot of them, they support research and development and all of this in AI. But also, instead of just giving funding, they need also support in other areas, like provide the data they need for companies, especially a startup company, that the data they need to do their job well in this case. I believe the government has the obligation to support also company with little or no data at all, with data in general.
As our interview moves towards the end, I'd like to touch again on something that we discussed before. There was, the need for education within the organization before they do anything, because the various level of executions, then they get the level of disconnect. The executive doesn't fully understand the complexity of what he's doing, and then the next level of management maybe has some gap, and then they hire a data scientist, but the data scientist is operating in an environment that is mostly frustrating. How do you actually go and implement education, strategies for these different levels? What have you found, or what do you think is the right recipe?
Actually, we developed a program for education, educating all level of company for AI. The first level for executives, maybe it is 1 day overview of AI. Then the next level is directors and managers. This is a 3 days level. And mostly giving them terminology, definitions, high level process, overview of some of the machine learning algorithm in general. But the most important thing is the implementation. So what they need to do as executive, as management, to support data scientists to do their job well. Because they are actually the change agent. They make things happen in the company. And if a data scientist, they need the support, they need to be able to help them with regard to many things. Get the support with regard to data, people cooperation, a certain project, make it priority. They are a competing priority in the company. And again, if data scientists want to do a project, it's not important to say director, then director is not going to support them. But if this project is aligned with the overall strategy of the company, then the director has no choice but to support it. So if there's a support for top management to lower level management, then we'll have support for data scientists to do the job well.
That's something that I have experienced myself in a variety of situations, so I can perfectly relate to it. I think there is a real need out there for education. I've experienced it myself within large organizations. So this concept of managers expecting too much or too little, it can be also that sometimes it happens that the manager blocks things that for which resources are there. We're able to do it, but they think it's too big, and then they block it. And
yes, so this is why executive education is extremely important. If you look into now education in the United States, there's Coursera, there's Stanford, there's Harvard, there's everybody. They're having a lot of machine learning training, and it's basically courses but very little to educate management on this. Recently, I saw MIT have something like that, but it's pretty high level. So we need something in between to do that.
I totally agree. I see the same, I'd say, marketplace opportunity. On this note, I wanted to thank you once more. I really, enjoyed the time with you. I wanted to thank you for being here with us. It is a very interesting experience, a different perspective from, the Silicon Valley one, where we're trying to push the pure technology innovation, if you like, and you have the experience of looking at how companies around the world are adopting and where they're struggling, and now to educate the various persons. So I wanted to thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, and I thank you too for having me.
Before we go, I want to thank the audience for being here. If you have suggestions about other content you would like to see, and you watch this video on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, please comment wherever you watch it. If you have also any question about this particular subject, please comment. And for the time being, thank you so much for being with us. And I look forward to hosting you again on Conversations in Artificial Intelligence.